Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I downloaded King Arthur Legends Rise. This was using a download link from a content creator. If you guys wanted to play this game too, it would honestly mean the world to me if you could check out his channel, use his link as well, support him. Whilst you're over there, maybe drop a sub. I personally think he makes great content. If you're a fan of the Arthurian legends, of Knights of Camelot and that whole era, or in general love a good RPG, then you've probably heard about King Arthur Legends Rise. It's recently launched and I've just spent some time playing it today, so I figured I'd share my first impressions of the game, everything from the sort of story to the gameplay and all the bits in between. So let's get into it. Let's start with the story. The game throws you into the aftermath of the fallen Camelot, with King Arthur himself trying to rebuild his kingdom and fight off dark forces that threaten the land. What I love about the story so far is that it doesn't just focus on Arthur. The game also highlights the other iconic knights of the Round Table, Lancelot, Merlin, Guinevere for example, all who play pivotal roles in your journey. But for me, the big thing is gameplay, and at its core, King Arthur Legends Rise is a turn-based strategy RPG with sort of real-time combat system. Unless you make a decision, the game can just sit there and run. Each mission or dungeon or whatever it is you're going into, you'll be assembling a team, each with unique abilities. You will need to put some thought into how you approach each battle. It's not just about picking your strongest knights, it's about building up the right team synergy. Now, the combat kind of reminds me of Raid. I personally find it a lot of fun. There's sort of a good balance between strategic thinking and quick decision making. You'll need to manage all of your heroes' abilities and plan your moves ahead of time, and then in the middle of the battle you'd need to sort of adjust what you're doing depending on what's happening. It's not overly complicated, but it's satisfying, especially when you pull off a good combo or an ability that gets a crit, for example, right, or just saves the run. Outside of combat though, exploration. The world of King Arthur Legends Rise is one that you'll want to deep dive into. Camelot itself, I think, is beautifully designed. There's plenty of NPCs you can interact with and actually quests to pick up as well, which makes it vastly different to other games of the genre. You're not just going between battle to battle. You'll also be building up your kingdom. You get to upgrade structures, recruit new heroes. I think there's a real sense of progression as you work to restore Camelot, and you feel rewarded. You get to see these changes happen, it progresses you. I just think it's worth it. Beyond Camelot, you'll explore different regions, anything from haunted forests to enemy encampments. The map is expansive. There's a lot of new things to discover, and what's cool about the game is that it doesn't just focus on combat. There's also sort of resource management, side quests. There's a bit more depth into it than Raid, for example. Raid's going to be the main game I compare this to. It's the only real game in the same genre I've got experience playing, so apologies in advance, but it's sort of the base I've got to go off. Speaking of Raid, I think it is good to address with King Arthur Legends Rise. Although it's a free-to-play game, there's a lot of microtransactions that can be done. It doesn't feel like it's forcing you to spend money, but it's definitely a pay-to-win game. Same with Raid, same with every other game of this sort of style. You spend money, it speeds up the game, right? That said, it doesn't feel forced. You don't have to buy things. This game does a brilliant job of giving you enough things for free. So if you're patient and just sort of play through the game, there are other options to progress at a decent pace without actually spending money. In my experience, it's not a totally pay-to-win game, but I can see how someone might feel tempted to drop cash for a faster experience. The real question will be how the game evolves over time and whether it becomes heavily reliant on paying or has a good balance between you can pay but also you can do everything the same for free. Visually speaking, I think this game is definitely impressive. The character models are unreal, especially for the knights. You've got that sort of mix of realistic design and just enough fantasy to sort of keep it grounded. The battle animations are smooth, not if you turn it to 3x speed, but that's your own thing, right? You don't have to turn it up. The special effects for the abilities as well, pretty spectacular in my opinion, especially when you unleash some of the real big moves. Stunning is all I can really say to describe that. And map design, right? The environments are top notch. Camelot looks regal and full of life. I've seen pictures of people with fully upgraded and the surrounding areas and everything. It just looks so good. Like forests and dungeons have that eerie, mystical feeling. It's the type of game where if you just stop and admire that world around you, even if you're in the middle of a quest. The visual designs really help pull this game together. I also love the features that I think it's one-upped Raid on. So outside of, obviously, there's a story to this game, right? Raid did have a story between missions, but it was pretty shit. It is just mission, 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 mission. This one you get to explore, you get to talk to people, which I've covered, but also For those of us who just want to play the story, you don't have to manually walk anywhere, that you can click a button to go to the quest and you just walk yourself there. You can skip dialogue if you wanted to. There's also an auto dialogue button, which I found really useful. So personally, I'm not that big on the story. It's fun to listen to, don't get me wrong, but I like the ability to just check that box, let the auto dialogue run, then I can go downstairs and make a tea, for example, come back and I know my game's done something. In battle as well, there's a 3x speed. Always fun, right? These battles can be long, especially if you're autoing it like I do. It's fun to just be able to go powering through it. Something I think it also does better than Raid is the cinematics. I mean, have you guys done that first dungeon yet with the big boar? Like, this is insane. The level of detail is unreal, and I'm all for it, right? I'm all for it. The most impressive thing to me personally is that this game has only recently launched. Like, this is how good it is out of the box, for example, right? This is without years and years of development and improvement and new features. And it's already got a solid story. The gameplay is fun and strategic. There's so much to explore and discover. I'm personally going to be keeping my eye on how the game evolves as a fan of RPGs. And it's definitely something I'm going to keep covering on the channel. I don't know how often, but there will be more videos, so keep an eye out. And yeah, that's it for my first impressions of King Arthur Legends Rise. Thanks for watching.